Okay, so this feels really weird to say, but quick disclaimer. When this happened, I was sober, not asleep, and totally in my right mind. I was 18 at the time. It was late August, around 11 p.m. I live in Ireland, so it was still pretty much freezing outside. My parents had gone to see my uncle over in Scotland because he was sick, and my older sister was staying at a friend's, so I was alone. I wasn't scared because, although I believed in ghosts, I never thought anything this creepy would happen to me. I had been watching Mean Girls with my husky Lupin sitting on my lap when the TV just shut off. No lights were on at the time, so I thought it was the television being annoying again. I wasn't scared, but then Lupin started to freak out. He jumped up and started to bite and pull at my sleeve, trying to tug me out of the room. I tried to calm him down, but he wasn't having any of it. I just went with it, and he led me to the kitchen at the back of the house. That's when I heard a knock at the door. This was really weird, as I live in the countryside and my closest neighbors are about half a mile down the road. I guess I wasn't really thinking. I went to leave the kitchen, and Lupin jumped in front of me and started to growl. This was scary. Lupin is the chillest dog ever. He barely even barks, let alone growls, and never at me. I tried speaking loudly to him and pushed by him, but he just started tugging at my sleeve again, trying to pull me back into the kitchen. I pushed on, thinking he was just freaked out by the television going out. When I got to the door, I could hear him whimpering. As I turned to look at him, I heard a voice coming from outside the door. "Please, miss, we need your help." I didn't really think about it at the time. I just heard a kid's voice and I felt that I had to help, but my door is solid wood. They couldn't have known that I was a girl. I opened the door and there were two kids that I didn't know standing shoulder to shoulder. Both were girls. One looked about 14 to 15 and the other was a lot younger, maybe 7 or 8. I couldn't see very well because it was dark and I didn't have the lights on. From what I could see, they were wearing normal clothes, but I looked down and I noticed they didn't have any shoes on and it was freezing. I was about to tell them to come in, but Lupin jumped past me and started growling and barking at them. He looked possessed. I was really freaked out. I pulled him back by the collar and put him in the living room, locking the door behind me. I started to apologize, but I stopped. The girls didn't look startled at all and they just stood there not moving. The older of the two said, "Please let us in, miss. We need to call our mother." It was strange. I couldn't tell where she was from. She didn't have my accent. It was just kinda neutral. Also, no one I know calls their mom mother. It was just so odd. I asked her why they didn't have shoes on. They both just looked at each other before repeating, "Please let us in. We need to call our mother." I felt so uneasy. My chest was tight and I was almost shaking with fear, though I didn't know why. It was then that I finally did something smart. There was a light switch near the door, and when I hit it, the light behind me came on and the world seemed to stop. They had no whites in their eyes and no iris. Their eyes were just black. I was paralyzed. Then the younger one said, "Let us in, miss." I just slammed the door and locked it, hyperventilating. Lupin was banging against the living room door trying to get out. I ran to it and opened it. He threw himself on me and just whimpered. The kids were still at the door. The younger one was shouting, "Let us in! We need you to let us in!" I screamed and told them to leave, insert a lot of curse words and crying, and they just kept banging. I ran upstairs. I looked out the top window and the kids had moved to the bottom of the drive. They were looking right at me. I tried to scream, but no noise came out. I ducked down and maybe 10 seconds later, they were gone. Not knowing where they were scared me even more. I called my sister and made her come home. It's been 2 years and I haven't seen them again. I also haven't slept properly since. I only recently found out that black-eyed kids is a thing, and I'm not sure if it gives me closure or makes my experience even more terrifying. At the time of my encounter, I was 29 and living alone in an apartment on the north side of Indianapolis. After I got off of work, I wanted nothing more than to drink whiskey and veg out in front of the TV. At some point, I must have fallen asleep on the couch. I woke to the sound of someone knocking at my door. Groggy and still a little drunk, I went to the door. When I looked through the peephole, I saw a dark-haired girl, possibly Hispanic, standing there. It was really late and the foyer in my building was not well lit. One dim, decorative chandelier was all we had at night. I lived on the second floor, so she was basically standing directly in front of the light. This made it difficult to see her face. I didn't say anything, but she must have seen my shadow under the door or heard me pressing against it because she blurted out, "I need to use your phone. Let me in." I remember being taken aback by the rudeness and assertiveness in her voice. I thought that she must be some confused meth head. "You have the wrong apartment," I responded, watching her through the peephole. She stood there not moving for what seemed like a long time. "I need to use your bathroom. Please let me in," she finally said in an annoyed tone, almost like I was the one bothering her. I had never heard of black-eyed kids at the time, but many years later, I read that they are usually accompanied by a feeling of absolute fear. I didn't feel that, but I do remember feeling anxious and nauseous. Whether that was the booze or nerves is difficult to say. "It is way too late for this shit," I said, trying to match her tone. "Get the hell away from my door." I started back towards the couch when she knocked on the door again. "Let me in, this won't take long, we just need to use your phone." She used a sharper tone than before. I'd had enough. Chick or no chick, this tweaker bitch was about to have herself an accident. I was reaching for the deadbolt when I realized that she'd used the word "we." She wants me to open the door, I thought. She probably has her tweaker boyfriend standing out of view waiting to clock me in the head as soon as I do. Once more, I checked the peephole. She was leaning against my door with both of her hands, her face inches away from the peephole as if she would like nothing more than to jump through it. Black eyes large like marbles, and she was seething. "Let me in," she said, as if keeping her out was some kind of joke that had gotten old. Then she slammed her open hands against the door so hard I jumped back. That's when my stomach retched, and I covered my side of the door with a pint of Jack Daniels and whatever I had for dinner. I ran to the bathroom to finish puking, then I grabbed the .45 I kept in my nightstand and returned to the front door. I stood and listened for a couple minutes, trying to hear if anyone was out there. Eventually, I mustered the courage to look through the peephole, and I saw no one. I stayed awake the rest of the night and didn't dare open my door until I heard one of my neighbors leave. He was an older guy, 50 or so. I asked him if he heard or saw anything. He said no. I told him about what had happened, omitting the part about the eyes because I didn't want to sound crazy. All he had to offer was, "Area's going to shit," and then he left. He was the first and last person to whom I talked about my experience for obvious reasons. I lived there without incident until my lease expired. Then yesterday, some 8 years later, I watched an episode of Ancient Aliens. They made mention of a Texas man who was accosted by 2 teenagers with black eyes. I've been reading stories online ever since. Part of me wants to go Van Helsing on these things, to devote my life to locating and eradicating these devil children. Any advice? Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun recording it. Black-eyed children are something that really creep me out. So I had a lot of fun. I'm really sorry I haven't posted in so long. I was having all sorts of problems trying to record, and my neighbor's dogs kept barking, I was sick, and then I was having some computer problems. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll try to have some more content out again for you soon. Hopefully I can resolve these issues I've been having, but yeah, see you next time.